All right. So essentially, this is what we're going to be creating. You're going to take a T-shirt, that little template that you'll download from Moodle, and place it in here. And once it's placed in here, you'll add text to it, and you'll be able to change up the text. You'll add pictures to them, and be able to manipulate and move these pictures around. And this is going to go by pretty quickly. This is the type of thing you can finish up within one class period. So let's see, just to give you a heads up, in Moodle, yeah, if you can, look on with another one. Let's see, on the Moodle page, if you can go to today's one, you'll download the blank T-shirt JPEG, and also this this zip file of a bunch of different images, and this is what they look like. Y'all good? Okay. So just a blank gray T-shirt, and I'll show you how you can change the color of it. And this is a folder of different little graphic images, and they're all JPEGs that you can add to your T-shirt. There's little extra little icons and goodies that you can pick from. So to start things off, we'll create a new document, and we'll get rid of that. Remember, with any Adobe software, you can go to File and New, and all it needs to know is what size do you want it to be. In our case, we're just going to create a regular letter size, 8.5 by 11. So there's 8.5 by 11, and just make sure the orientation is portrait style. Everything else is okay. We'll say okay to that. And the first thing we need to do is to place the T-shirt that we created into our document. So File and Place. This is just like we did in the last project. I've got it saved on my desktop. There it is, blank T-shirt, and we'll place it into here. Now the first thing you'll notice is that it's really, really big. It's too large to fit on our entire document, so we do need to scale this one down. As with the other ones, you can select it. There's your bounding box, and just click on it. I'm holding the Shift key, and it'll keep it proportional. If I don't hold the Shift key, I'm liable to get something like that. And just make it so that it kind of fills up the entire page. That's what I'm looking for. So here's the first new thing that I kind of haven't covered in other ones, but we'll see this again, especially when we get into Photoshop. We're going to be working in different layers. So you know that when you create objects, like if you create a series of different things, they're already layered, they're stacked one on top of the other. And you can move this stacking by adjusting the arrangement of it. You know, you can bring it forward or send it to the back. So already you're used to working in layers, but here's another kind of way of thinking about it. We're going to open the Layers palette, which is usually on the bottom right-hand side. Remember, if you can't find it, there's the drop-down menu. There's Layers already selected. In here, we can actually choose multiple layers that your images can be created on. So for instance, you can see there's a small icon, a picture of the T-shirt is on layer 1. If I wanted to put something on top of this one, at the bottom right, I can click this icon to create a new layer. And a new layer is created on top of this one. So why would I want to be able to do this? And here's why. What I want to do is every design object or element that I put on top of this T-shirt, I want to be able to only control it and not accidentally control the T-shirt. So my design is going to go on layer 2. My T-shirt is going to go on layer 1. And I've drawn this on the board just to help you remember. So here's your layers palette that you're working with. Two icons to pay attention to are the ones that are right here. There's an eyeball, and there's one that's probably blank, but it's going to lock it out. Let me show you what they do on here. So you've got an eyeball. This toggles or turns on and off the visibility. So if I turn off that one, everything on layer 1 is completely invisible. It's turned off. If I turn it on, I can turn that back on and be able to work with it. The second icon allows you to lock anything on that layer. So with it locked, now if I try to click and drag, I can't make any changes to it. And that's very important because I don't want to be able to move my T-shirt or accidentally select it. I want to be able to lock everything down that's on that layer. And so clicking the lock icon allows you to lock that layer, and now I'm only going to be able to work on layer 2. Have I lost anybody? Questions? Cool. So on layer 2, this is where we're going to add color to our T-shirt. To do this, use the rectangle. I'm just going to choose a regular fill color and no strokes. So just the inside of it's going to be filled in. And you can choose any color that you want. But I'm going to click and drag over it. And you know that under normal circumstances, it's just going to cover it up. But what do I do to change up how the pixels interact with each other? The opacity, that's one way. What was the other way? Transparency, what's it called? What kind of mode am I changing? Blending mode, bingo. You're right, it's in the transparency. I can drop the opacity, but what I want you to do is to change the blending mode from normal to overlay. And this is going to colorize anything that's white will become white, anything that has pixels, or excuse me, has color, will turn to whatever color is on top of here. Now you notice I've got my my square larger than the actual picture itself. So you can scale this down to fit inside of there if you don't want to have that border inside of it. Cool? So keep in mind, all I have, and you can see it on layer 2, is just this color that's on top of it. Here's another fun thing you can do with your t-shirt. Rather than having just a solid color, and you can choose a solid color from any one of your swatches, you can choose any one down here, there's some other things you can add to it. You can add a gradient to it. So if I did choose turn on gradient, right now I've got it going from white to black. But if I changed it to another particular color, you can have a gradient starting red on one side and turning black on another side. You can change the direction or the angle that it's going at as well. So you can have a two-tone t-shirt. This is your t-shirt, do whatever you want. Even more fun than this, at the bottom of your swatches palette, remember you can open up some extra color properties or color swatches to pick from. This is where we chose those warm and cool colors. There are some other predefined ones under patterns, and either the decorative or the nature ones. Let's open up decorative and see what we have. Let's try modern. These are other little patterns that you can choose from to make them add a pattern to it. So there's that pattern. And all it's doing, if I drag this over here, it's taking this pattern and it's overlaying it on top of the t-shirt. See what wild things they have. That's cool. Oh, awesome. There's the one I want to work with. And remember, I found these at the bottom of the swatches palette. I went to patterns, and then I chose one from here. And there's a bunch of different types of patterns. There's other types. Here's gradients. So if you wanted to choose a gradient to work from, there's some predefined ones to work from there as well. As soon as you have your t-shirt color or t-shirt pattern picked out, we're going to lock down layer 2 and then create another layer. And on here is where we're going to add the text and we're going to add the pictures. So remember, now I can't select anything that's on here, no matter how I try to click on it. Everything's going to be on layer 2. So adding text, here's a new tool that we're going to be working with. You know how to add text in InDesign, and it's the same looking tool, it looks like a T. In Illustrator, rather than clicking and dragging, that's what I do not want you to do. Do not click and drag. You can click and drag and make a text box, but what I want you guys to do, I'll delete that, just click once. When you click once, you'll get a blinking cursor, and then you can type out, in this case, I want you to say graphic design. I want it to be a graphic design t-shirt. So graphic, I could type design, but I'm going to put that in a separate type box. So I've typed out graphic. I can then use my selection tool, my move tool. I've got my bounding box, and I can make it larger and place it and even rotate it wherever I want it to be. So with the type tool, type out your text, then move it and place it. If you do want to change the color or the type of font that you're using, open up the character palette. Go to Window, and if you don't see it, it's under Type. There's Character. With this palette open, you can change the type of font that you're using by clicking on it, and it gives you a preview. So let's find a fun font to work with. Riot. Oh, cool. Yeah, this is getting even better. And if I wanted to change my text color, I can always click on any one of the swatches and change the color to be something. I think white would show up pretty well on this. You can scale it down. So there's graphic. Let's type out design. Click once, ESIGN. You can highlight it, and you can move your cursor around just like you would with any other type of image text editor. But I'm using my black arrow to be able to move it and to resize it. So graphic, design, maybe I'll rotate one way, one the other way. And that's how you can add text to what you're working on. As long as it's selected, I can go and I can even change up the font that I'm using, and it'll automatically change it to that particular font as well. Well, lost anybody so far? Real simple stuff. That's all with the type tool. Here's the next thing. What I want to be able to do is to bend my text. I want to warp it around. In my example, you can see I've taken the word graphic and I've curved it up, or I've warped design going downward. Doing this kind of adds a little bit of punch. Rather than having just a regular type that's on here, you can add a little bit more funness to it. So I'm going to select my word, be sure it's selected, you got your bounding box. And I'm going to add what's called an envelope distortion by going to Object, Envelope Distort, and Make with Warp. And if you're following along with the instructions that I passed out, you can see where I'm telling you where to go to for your drop-down menus. So with Make with Warp, it'll open up these warp options. And when I turn on Preview, you can see the type of warp that it's creating. It's starting to arc this text. And the more I bend it, you can see the more arc it'll achieve. You can change the style, so there's different types of arcing you can do. You can arc both sides of it, in this case. And since I have it turned to the side, it's going to be a little bit different. You can do like a flag type scenario, so now it's moving this way. But by changing the amount of bend, I can bend it one way or the other way. You can also distort it horizontally or vertically. So if I wanted one side to be smaller and the other side is larger, that's what this allows you to do. The main thing is I want you to play around with this. I want you to just kind of have fun with the different types of warping you can do. I kind of like that with each one. Let's do one for design. Maybe I'll straighten this one back out. You can see now it's filling it in. So Object, Envelope Distort, Make with Warp. Be sure Preview is turned on so you can see it. And then, what do y'all think? It's pretty cool. When I was an undergraduate, one of my first jobs I had was being a t-shirt designer. There was a lady that was here in Clinton who needed someone to design t-shirts and to separate the colors. And so it's just a real good kind of extracurricular job that helped me learn the software and pay for college, really. Okay, now I'm just playing around. We'll say okay to that. So there's my text already added to there, warped up sufficiently. Last thing I want you to do is to add some images, add some pictures to this particular design. You can add circles, stars, anything else that you want to. Those are totally okay. So maybe we'll add one to the background. Let's give it like a red. Maybe not that much. Holding down my arrow key. And I'll send that backwards. So graphic, design. But if I wanted to add one of these pictures, let's see, that you'll download, graphic images, we'll need to place it in there, just like we've placed in the other one. So File and Place. They're under here. Here's kind of a tip. If you can't see what the image is, so for instance I'm only seeing the name and just a preview icon, you can either click on this third icon at the top, and that'll give you this kind of tree structure, or even better, if you click on the name of it and press your spacebar, it gives a pop-out preview. So when you click that, it pops out and you can see exactly the one that you want. Which one y'all think? Huh? This one? Okay, let's do this one. So I've placed it in here. And if you remember, I need to vectorize this. Right now I have this as a JPEG, and JPEG is made up of pixels. If I zoom in, you can start to see it's all pixelated. And it even has an X through it to let you know that this isn't a normal vector image. To vectorize an image, and this is kind of cheating, it's a way of quickly redrawing everything on here. Illustrator has a thing called live trace. In your instructions, I made a mistake. I called it image trace. It should be called live trace. But with my image selected, look up at the top for the word live trace in your tool options. When I click it, watch what happens. Automatically, you can see it cleaned it up pretty well. What Illustrator is doing is it's going through and it's looking for light areas and dark areas, and it's automatically drawing the image for me. And so very quickly I can turn a rasterized image into a vectorized image by clicking Live Trace. Now it's not the last thing you need to do. To be able to edit it, you need to click the word expand. As soon as you expand it, if you look closely, now I can see my individual points, and I'm able to change it up and make changes to what I'm working with. Have I lost anybody on that? We'll do another one just to be sure. I can move this off to the side, and if I wanted to get rid of the white area, everything's grouped together, so I can either go to Object and ungroup it. Excuse me, ungroup, there we go. So now I can select the white and just delete it away. Same way for down here. So that white area, delete it away. So now all I'm left with is just the black image with the white being transparency from it. Let's change the color a bit. Make it something fun. We'll add them around the edges. I'll group those together again. And just kind of find an area on here that you'll place it in there. I want you to make this your own design. You can add to it whatever you want. But if you wanted to place another image onto it, so let's say I did, let's do an apple. Place it. With it selected, choose Live Trace, and automatically it'll draw it off for you. It doesn't work on everything, but it works pretty well on black and white images. Then click Expand. Now you can see the individual points. And if you want to get rid of the white area, you need to ungroup it by going to Object and Ungroup. And then you can click on the white area and delete it. And you can continue to work on that one. Group them back, maybe scale it down, and place it within your design. Pretty cool. Y'all get any ideas of what you want to do for yours? Green apple. White apple. Okay. Y'all go away. I'm having fun. Okay. So this is what the project is going to be. When you're finished with it, I want you to just save it as an Illustrator file. So save as. You can put your name on it, T-shirt design, and you'll upload this to Moodle. There should be a place on Moodle for you to be able to upload it. All right. I'm going to turn it back over to you and let y'all get started. Remember, next class...